Welcome to BIGtalk, a series of power talks by industry and thought leaders that inspire progress and unlock innovation. BIGtalk, unlocking the next big thing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A story is told about a farmer named Ali Hafid. Now, Ali Hafid lived in the Middle East, and he lived on a small farm with his family. They were not rich, and they were a hard-working family. They had everything that they needed. Now, one day, a Buddhist priest came passing by. He was on a pilgrimage, and he needed a place to rest. So he approached the farmer, and he asked the farmer, for a place to stay for a couple of days. And the farmer was kind enough to agree. So the priest stayed with the farmer for a couple of days. And then one evening, as they were having dinner, the priest started talking about his experiences. He started talking about his travels, where he had been, what he had done, what he had seen. But then he spoke a lot about diamonds because he was fascinated by diamonds. And he said, there are places in the world where you find diamonds. And he started talking about these diamonds, and he said, diamonds are beautiful stone, very valuable. If you have one, it can just change your life immensely. And he went on and on about diamonds. And the farmer got really interested in this topic, and he wanted to know more. So he kept asking questions about diamonds. And then finally said, okay, now tell me, where do I find these diamonds? I mean, how do I know where these diamonds are? Because I think I want to find some diamonds for myself. And so the priest thought for a few seconds. Then he said, well, if you want to know where diamonds are found, or for you to be able to identify where diamonds are found, you will find the terrain. There are mountains, and the mountains kind of peak in a particular way, right? And below the mountains is a river that flows through the sand. And if you look at the river, you'll find, stuff in the river. If you look in the river, you look inside, you will actually see the diamonds because they will be glowing. And the man said, okay. So the whole evening, that's all he thought about, diamonds. The following day, he got up and he told his family that he was going to travel. He was going to leave the family for a couple of days. He was going to go out and look for diamonds because he believed that the diamonds would change their lives totally. So after a few days, he packed his bags and off he went to look for diamonds. And he was looking around for a place where there were mountains and where the mountains peak in a particular way. Okay? So he looked around. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years. And the poor man didn't find a place where the mountains peak in a particular way with the river flowing in the sand and diamonds in the river. So he became despondent. He lost all hope. And he eventually decided he had had enough of life. So he just threw himself in the ocean and died. And meanwhile, back at his farm, the new owner, obviously they had to sell the farm. So the new owner was walking, just viewing everything and taking it all in. And he went to the backyard. And as he was looking, he looked at the view. He saw, the mountains. And he just thought, oh, these mountains just look so beautiful, so serene. And wow, they peak in this particular way, And then he looked down the mountains and he saw the river flowing in the sand. And he looked and he thought, it's just so beautiful. But as he was looking, he said, there seems to be something in the water because something is glowing in the water. So he moved closer and he looked in the water. And sure enough, as he was looking, there just seemed to be obstacles. Objects in there that were glowing. So he put his hand in the water and he took out one of the objects and he looked at it. It was a stone. And he said, no. It's not possible. It can't be diamonds. And he put his hand again, and he put his hand and more, and it was diamonds. And it was discovered that the whole backyard was a diamond field. So what's the moral of the story? Well, the lesson comes in two folds. First, each and every one of us here is our own backyard. Your capabilities, your experiences, Your talents are your diamonds. And you need to discover those diamonds. And the second one is that we don't need to go to faraway lands, faraway places, looking for wealth, looking for prosperity. The wealth and prosperity can actually be found in our own city, in the city of Bulawayo. We just need to, be open-minded. We just need to look around. You will find the opportunities are there, the wealth is there, the prosperity is there. So now, to inspire progress and unlock innovation in Bulawayo, we need to unlock the potential in us, the people of Bulawayo. Unlock the potential in our children. And to do so, I believe we need to look at what we already have. Look at what is in us as individuals. That's the first one. And the second one is to look at what the city of Bulawayo, has to give. So I'll start off with the individuals. Everyone has a talent. Every one of us in this room has a talent. Some have one, some have two, some have more. But everyone has a talent. Some are artists, some are teachers, some are actors. So your talents are your diamonds. And like, diamonds that you find deep in the dirt, they have no value to anyone if they haven't been extracted and polished and cut, right? So our diamonds as well, our talents, if they haven't been discovered, they have no value to us as individuals, and they have no value to people around us. So we need to discover these talents and then use them, not just only for our benefit, but the benefit of those around us. And I want to just give some examples of some of our own people here in our own beautiful city who seem to have discovered their talents and have run with them and have gone to do amazing things, not just for themselves, but for their community. We'll start with Heath Streak. I'm sure we all know Heath Streak. Heath Streak is a former Zimbabwean cricketer, a former Test and one-day international captain. And he's probably the best bowler to have played for Zimbabwe. But without the support of his family, his passion, and his talent in cricket, our city would probably not be graced by the Heath Streak Academy. Now hundreds of children have the opportunity to learn cricket, to develop their talent, and possibly be international players too. So that's Heath. His talent has benefited him and his community. Another one, Viv Wilson. Some of us may not know Viv Wilson. But if it were not for Viv Wilson and his wife, if it was not for his talent and his love for animals, Bulawayo would probably not be a home to Chibangale Wildlife Orphanage. Chibangale has been featured in countless documentaries and is framed as one of Africa's largest and most successful wildlife rehabilitation release centers. So hundreds of tourists and locals go there every year. And I'm sure each of us have been to Chibangale, whether it's once or twice in our lives, but we have been there. And then when it comes to culture and arts, we have quite a number of people who have contributed to our culture and arts. We have your Kont Mhlanga, your Patisa Nyati, your Yvonne Vera. There are so many of them. And their talents have benefited them and our community in Bulawayo. So discovering and utilizing your gifts not only helps you to have a more fulfilling life, but your gifts will also increase the quality of other people. There's an African proverb that reads, "The purpose of life is to discover your gifts. The meaning of life is to give them away." So your gifts are meant to be shared with others, and your gifts will make the lives of others easier and more enjoyable. Now remember, I am talking about how to inspire progress and unlock innovation in our city. I'm saying our starting point is to start within by looking at what we already have as individuals and what Bulawayo already has to give. Now the second one, to unlock innovation in Bulawayo, we need to look at what Bulawayo already has, because those are our diamonds as a city. We can build up from there. Bulawayo has a rich cultural heritage, beautiful scenery, annual cultural festivals, and untapped tourism potential. And last, but definitely not least, Bulawayo has a large percentage of the untapped economic potential, our youth. Now, according to Central Intelligence Agency, the World Factbook, about 59% of Zimbabweans are between the ages of 0 to 24, and about 31% being between the ages of 25 to 54. So what does that tell us? Essentially, Zimbabwe has a greater percentage of the young and the youthful, your millennials, your Generation Zs, in comparison to the elder folks, the elder folks. Now, Generation Z are those people born in the mid-90s to 2000s. And they are tech-savvy, they want independence, and because of their want to be independent, that's where you have your startups coming up, entrepreneurs, they want to be entrepreneurs, they want to be in charge of their own lives, they want to be their own bosses, and they are innovative. Now, I want to share this quotation on innovation. I don't know if it will show them. Innovation. I want to read a quotation that speaks about innovation and its importance in the 21st century. It says, innovation is seen as a key ingredient for successful cities in the 21st century economy, as new technologies constantly emerge to disrupt the status quo. The idea of an innovative city can cover a broad range of different styles, sectors, and outcomes. It can refer to a city where commercial breakthroughs by world-famous multinational companies occur, or where groundbreaking research is carried out by universities and the public sector, or the places where new ideas are created by startups and entrepreneurs. So I'm talking about our millennials and our Generation Zs, people who are innovative, people who want to be entrepreneurs. And right here, it is saying innovation comes in places where new ideas are created by startups and entrepreneurs. So our Bulawayo can be an innovative city by creating an enabling environment and ecosystem for people, especially the young, to be able to get their creative juices flowing, use their talents to start businesses and community projects, innovation hubs, cultural industries. There's just so much potential in the youth. And our world is changing faster than we can imagine. There are more entrepreneurs today than there have ever been before. More new businesses are started each month than ever before. And most importantly, purpose and fulfillment are beginning to take priority over wealth and status. And all over the world, cities are embracing innovation and entrepreneurship as keys for unlocking new opportunities and solving complex city challenges. So we as Bulawayo need to go on and join the rest of the world. Now, not only does Bulawayo have the human capital, we have our rich cultural heritage. Now combine our young and our creative, untapped economic potential and our rich cultural heritage, you get a perfect recipe to harness the creative and cultural industries in Bulawayo. There's a quotation I found, and I thought it was very profound. Now, this quotation is from Emanuela Gregorio. He says, building up Africa's creative industries will lead to a more sustainable and faster economic transformation, will give hope and livelihoods to Africa's creative youth and keep the talent at home. And an example of the kind of talent that Emanuela is talking about is of a gentleman that my husband and I met a few days ago. His name is Marvelous Mhlanga. Very creative, an artist of note. But this gentleman has not had the opportunities to pursue his talent. He comes from a very underprivileged background, and he needs support. These are the kind of people that we need to be supporting in our city of Bulawayo. And I also know of some people who started off pursuing careers which may not necessarily have been within their strength zone, but later on in life decided to take that leap and become true to their calling. One example, I'm sure we know, is Mbo Mahawks. Mbo Mahawks comes from Bulawayo, and she started architecture because her parents insisted that she should study architecture. She had the love for theater, for art, and all that, but if you have parents like my parents from our generation, that wasn't quite the career that they thought was appropriate, particularly as a girl child. So she did architecture. But then as she grew older and she had the ability to say no, she moved to South Africa, and then she pursued what she really wanted to do. She started doing courses in theater, and now I'm sure we've seen her on television. She's one of the actresses on one of SA's popular soapies because she decided to be true to her career. She decided to be true to her calling. And I'm sure so many of us have heard children say, okay, I am doing this qualification. This is for my mother. This is for my parents. But after this, I will do what I want to do. And my brother-in-law, Nonto Masuku, he pursued a degree in management. And because at that point, it was probably the most reasonable thing to do. But fast forward some years, and today he's a broadcaster and entrepreneur. He is the founder and executive producer of a media platform called African Tech Roundup, which covers Africa's digital transformation journey. As a result, he travels all over the world doing what he loves and what he's gifted in. So this is the new crop of innovators, people who are not in conventional roles, but are pursuing careers that allow them to shine and in the process enjoy the experience. So in closing, I would like to say, Bulawayo has indeed the potential to become an innovative city, a city that institutions catering for the different intelligences and giftings. And our city becoming a creative city, an innovative city, one with an ecosystem that encourages creativity and people honing in on their talents so that they can unleash the power within themselves. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
You've been watching Big Talk, a series of power talks by industry and thought leaders that inspire progress and unlock innovation. Big Talk, unlocking the next big thing.